Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto and Ino was detectives, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Apparently, right away meant something different to the chief than it did to Naruto. He checked his watch. He'd been waiting in the hallway for the chief for nearly half an hour. Either something unexpected had come up or else this was some sort of power sping to remind the spiky blonde male who was in charge. As if he could forget that. He owed a lot to Chief Nawaki Jiraiya. After all, the man had made Naruto's transfer to homicide possible. Jiraiya had also put tremendous trust in him by asking him to look into allegations regarding a fellow officer. Well, maybe it was trust. And maybe it was just something as simple as Jiraiya not wanting to make the investigation official unless he knew for certain there were improprieties. Or maybe he thought Naruto would be relentless in getting to the truth. In doing so, however, Jiraiya had pitted him against not just Shikamaru but to his entire department, including Ino. Yet, it hadn't kept them apart. Of course, probably nothing short of critical injury or death could have done that. There were times, like now, when Naruto felt as if he were in the path of a speeding train, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Nothing he wanted to do to stop it. Talk about confusing. They had occurred to catch, and his every other thought was of the platinum blonde he'd left in the conference room. She deserved better than that, and so did the victims. Bad morning, he heard someone ask. Not the chief. It was Nara Shikamaru. He was coming down the hall directly towards Naruto. And he wasn't alone. He had a big white box in one arm and a little blonde girl, who looked to be 2 or 3, squirming on the other. I've had easier, Naruto answered. Something told him this one wasn't going to get much better. Is this your daughter? Yes. My mother came by to drop off something for Ino, so she brought her along. Kumiko, this is Sergeant Uzumaki Naruto. The child shyly smiled at the man in front of her and partly hid under her father's arm. Despite of that, she was obviously interested in the fake police badge she was playing with than meeting the spiky blonde male. I just heard the latest victims pulled through, Shikamaru commented, putting the girl down. Kumiko didn't waste any time exploring the fake moss in an equally fake plant display on the hallway. Good news, isn't it? Definitely. Maybe we'll be able to get something from them when they're out of recovery, said Naruto as his gaze followed the young girl. Too bad though we haven't been able to locate Karen. She hasn't returned to her apartment or the mental health facility, and that number she gave me was a fake. It's for some shop down on Hanagi Lane. Well, so much for the woman hitting on him. Ino had been wrong about that. Karen had probably been trying to make Sasori jealous. Or else maybe she was suspicious and had just wanted to get Naruto off her back. We'll keep looking for her, Shikamaru continued. But if you're still able to meet with Sasori this afternoon, maybe you can talk him into giving you info on where to contact her. Naruto nodded, not really hopeful about that. We're definitely meeting with Sasori. In fact, we'll leave just as soon as I'm done here, said Naruto. Sasori wouldn't give up the information voluntarily, but maybe they could get it some other way. His mind kept going back to Sasori's office. If Sasori and Karen had had an affair, for sure her contact number's probably there, somewhere in his office. It seemed more than a little awkward standing outside the chief's office and having such a civil conversation with the man he was supposed to be investigating. Shikamaru had to know why Naruto was waiting to see Jiraiya, but he didn't show it. No dark emotion simmering just below the surface. No pondering look. Just shop talk and an occasional fatherly glance in his daughter's direction. How badly was Ino hurt in the shooting? Shikamaru suddenly asked the platinum blonde male. Okay, so maybe not totally shop talk. That question threw Naruto off balance. Hardly more than a scratch on her arm. She's fine. How'd you know? The corner of his mouth lifted. Lucky guess. Right. The man had probably never relied on luck or guesses in his entire life. Shikamaru did a no-no motion with his index finger when his daughter started to remove a flyer from the bulletin board. The child promptly obeyed and moved on to a hands-on examination of the carpet. If you're waiting for my permission to discipline my friend and subordinate Ino for not following procedure about an injury, then that would be unnecessary. You're in charge with this mission, therefore, you're her boss. Shikamaru told him. Believe me, I haven't forgotten that, Naruto replied. Well, maybe he had, while they were in that bathroom. Naruto shook his head. No disciplinary action will be required. Not unless you want to aim it at me. I didn't report her injury even after she informed me of it. Then you must have believed that it wouldn't have any impact on this assignment. She convinced me that it wouldn't, Naruto said rather than lie to the man. Shikamaru grunted. Not an ordinary grunt, but one to indicate he was deep in thought about something. That day in my office, you said something about Ino coloring outside the lines. Naruto winced, recalling the words in perfect detail. I meant. She does, answered as Chuji. It drives me nuts, but I swear they can sort through things that look like a junk pile to me. Like zooming in on perfect match after only one shooting. You managed to do that, too, but you used department resources. Ino didn't, because she worked on it while off duty. Added to that, she was also dealing with the grief from her best friend Zem. Yet, I believe she got to the right place about the same time you did, right? Yeah. Naruto smiled, but he made sure it didn't stay on his face too long. In this case, being proud of her probably wasn't a good thing to display. Is there advice somewhere in that? There is. If it comes down to a situation where someone negates the rules, trust Ino. Naruto met him eye to eye and nodded. With my life. And it wasn't something he had to think about. Nor was it a question. Shikamaru gave him a pat on the back and turned to leave. What? No veiled threats about not hurting her? Naruto asked, certain that he deserved such threats. Heck, they might even him feel less guilty. Naruto felt Kumiko tugging on his pant leg, looked down, and the girl flashed a fake badge at him. Know what a fisk is? Kumiko asked him, except instead of frisk, it was fisk. Naruto winked at the kid, ruffled her hair and assured her that he did. That's something Ino taught her, Shikamaru explained, obviously not too pleased about it. He passed the box to Naruto so he could scoop up his daughter in his arms. As for your relationship with one of my best friends, Ino can take care of herself. I'm more concerned about you than her. Me. Ino feels she has to work twice as hard and twice as long to prove herself. Added to that, she's not just married to the badge, she's in love with it. And she won't give that up for you or any other man. Not exactly a newsflash. Naruto had known and admired that about her from day one. I wouldn't even think of asking her to give it up. Shikamaru stared at him for a moment, and Naruto felt the man was sizing him up. Probably was. It'll be interesting to watch. Know what interrogation is. That from Kumiko, though Naruto understands that she was meaning to ask, interrogation. I know. Naruto smiled at the young girl, in fact he might be in the middle of one right now. A subtle one, where the lieutenant was getting him to ask the questions and then provide the answers as well. What'll be interesting to watch? Naruto directed at Shikamaru. How Ino deals with you. Naruto got the feeling Shikamaru left off a portion of that observation. The flip side to that coin was how the heck was he going to deal with her? Wait, Naruto said when Shikamaru started to walk away. You forgot your box. It's for Ino. Make sure she gets it. There it was again. That almost smug look that Shikamaru aimed his way. Or maybe it was a look of sympathy, if so, Naruto needed it. As soon as Shikamaru disappeared, the door to the chief's office swung open. Come in, Uzumaki. Definitely not a polite suggestion. Judging from the way the elder man gestured for him to sit down, this wouldn't be a long meeting. You're closing in on this sniper case? Jiraiya asked, which was probably the only semblance of a greeting Naruto would get. I hope. Detective Yamanaka and I have been undercover on it all week. I heard. I'm not sure why Shikamaru paired you with her for this. She was the right person for the assignment, Naruto calmly insisted. Best to leave out the part of how she'd become the right person. Besides, it no longer mattered. She was the right person, and that had nothing to do with all the Suel stuff going on between them. The chief put his elbows on the desk and steepled his fingers. So what about these allegations? Now this was the part where Naruto wouldn't leave anything out. I haven't seen a single incident of favoritism, and I've been in contact with all three of them on this sniper case. The fingers unsteepled, and the man made a huffing sound. Did Yamanaka Ino have anything to do with helping you out with that conclusion? Naruto pondered that a moment. Not because he needed time to think about it, but he wanted to put a chokehold on the anger he felt over that question. No, he said honestly. No, the chief repeated. You sure you're not thinking below the belt on this, Uzumaki? Naruto tightened the chokehold a little more. If you're questioning my objectivity. I am. And don't look so damn riled about it. It wouldn't be the first time. It would be for me. If that didn't thoroughly tick off the chief, the next thing he had to say probably would. I'm attracted to Yamanaka Ino, but I wouldn't lie about allegations because my feelings for her. And if you think I'm the kind of man who'd do that, then you need to get someone else to do this investigation. The chief street USD him. And then scowled. I don't want anyone else. Besides, you've got a fresh eye since you haven't been here that long. Keep looking. If there's something to find, I want to know about it. Jiraiya gave him a dismissal wave, which Naruto ignored. He got to his feet, but instead of leaving, he stared at the chief. Have there even been any legitimate complaints against Lieutenant Nara? A rumor or two. Rumors. Naruto couldn't help it. He cursed, and he didn't keep it under his breath. And you're willing to put his career at risk for rumors. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure morale stays high. Well, that's the wrong way to go about it, sir. I'll give you my final report when I'm finished with the sniper case, but there won't be anything in it that I haven't already said to you, right here, right now. And with that, Naruto walked out, no doubt leaving any chance of his promotion behind the chief's office. Ino had braced herself for just about anything to happen during their meeting with Sasori. But what she hadn't anticipated was that things would get interesting before they even reached perfect match. She stared in the side mirror, her heart rate automatically kicking up a few notches. You see it? She asked Naruto. Yes. He continued to drive, but like her, he was keeping an eye on the rearview mirror. A black BMW. That's the one. At the moment, it was 3 cars back, but it had stayed close enough behind them since they left the parking lot of the apartment. Did you happen to notice it when we hopped back from the headquarters? No, you. She shook her long platinum blonde locks. And if it had been there, Ino almost certainly would have seen it. And that's exactly the sort of flag that she'd been looking for. If the sniper was truly suspicious of them, then in all likelihood he or she would try to follow them. And perhaps even try to K them again. I can't read the license. Ino informed the spiky blonde male. Me neither. Do you think it's Sasori? Ino asked. Possible. Naruto replied. After all, he had called the man an hour ago and had asked him to meet them at perfect match, so it wasn't so much of a coincidence that they'd arrive at the same time. But this just didn't feel like a coincidence. Ino squinted against the sun as she tried to get a glimpse of the driver of the said vehicle instead of the plates. And just like before, the late morning sun was a serious hindrance. It glinted off the other car's windshield, making it impossible for Ino to see who was following them. The windows are bullet resistant, Naruto reminded her. We'll park and stay put to see what our stalker does. It was a good plan, if the sit and wait didn't take too long. They still needed to work on contacting Karen, and that wouldn't happen if they had to play games with their stalker. Naruto pulled into a parking space directly in front of the agency. The spots are normally filled with cars are now practically empty. The closed sign on the door likely had a lot to do with that, and the fact that there had been a recent shooting in the area. The BMW bypassed them and parked behind one of the few vehicles at the end of the block. Ino tried to see through the sunny glare, but she could only make out a shadowy figure. She slid her hand over her weapon. And waited. Mercy. And the waiting was the hardest part. A stir of movement to her right caused her to glance in that direction. Sasori opened the front door and motioned for them to come in. Well, whoever was watching us, it's not Sasori, she mumbled. That only left Karen, Kabuto and Dr. Tomiyama. Of course it also left any sicko they might not have considered. Some other client or rejected lover with an attitude problem. Still, Ino didn't think they were off the mark with the short list of suspects. It was more than likely one of those 4. She just didn't know how to go about proving which one. Sasori motioned again. This time, it wasn't so friendly. It was definitely a hurry-up signal. But Ino was fairly sure that no matter how frantic the man's signals got, Naruto wouldn't let either of them step out of the car with that sedan lurking about. With a squeal of tires, the BMW backed up just enough so it could circle around to a side street, and it sped away. Should we pursue? She asked her partner. No, let's stick with the plan. If it follows us when we come out, we'll try to run the plates to see who's interested in what we're doing. She smiled at Sasori and held up her index finger in a 1-minute gesture. The man ducked back inside. That didn't mean, however, that he wouldn't be spying on him from the window. This'll be a quick in and out, Naruto said, going over the rules. We tell Sasori about the wedding being set for tomorrow and see if he'll give us Karen's number under the guise of us inviting her to the ceremony. And that's it. Those 2 things and we get out of here. While he checked his weapon, Ino stared at the building that housed Perfect Match. But not just the building. The alley up the street where someone had tried to gun him down. Yes, she definitely understood Naruto's insistence of a quick in and out. Looking at that spot made her arm ache, and it didn't do much for the rest of her, either. What if Sasori won't tell us how to get in touch with Karen? She asked. He shrugged. The rules still apply here. Not exactly the answer she wanted to hear. I swear I'm going to needlepoint that on a pillow. No detours, Ino. No shortcuts. That was as much of an order as it was a warning, and void of sarcasm or humor. This isn't time to try to bring down a cur. We've got a plan set in motion to do that. Okay. It just makes me crazy to think of this piece of slime walking around free while we've got 2 people and 2 more seriously injured. I know, and we'll get the person responsible. That soothed her a little, but not nearly enough. Even though her brain told her the shootings weren't her fault, there was still the sickening feeling that she should have been able to stop it. People were hurt because she'd failed. No words, even those coming from Naruto, could ease that. Worse, that dread spread to other areas. She caught his arm when he started to open the door. Unfortunately, she hadn't really thought beyond that. Well, she had, but Ino hadn't quite figured out how to convey the things she was feeling. Let me just blurt this out because I don't think I can make it sound palatable. You won't take any unnecessary risks, right? He angled his head to stare at her. What's this all about? I've already said it won't make sense. There's just this fear. There, I've said it. I'm afraid. But not for me, for you. And that's so stupid, 'cause you're a cop. Naruto did something with his mouth, not really a gape but his version of it. You're worried about me. Disgusted with herself, she nodded. She would never believe anyone who told her that S didn't change things between a man and a woman. Except she'd had S with other men, and it hadn't changed things. Not like this, anyway. Nothing had ever changed things like this. He slid his arm around her and pulled her to him. I can take care of myself, Ino. You can take care of yourself. And when all else fails, we both make great backups. It's that fail part that's giving me some trouble here. It can't happen, okay? He nodded. Anything else before we go in there? Oh, she knew what he was getting at. His meeting with the chief. It was a bit of unfinished business that would have to remain unfinished a little longer. Nothing else. Ino took a deep breath. Let's do this. She made yet another mental check of her weapons and communicator as they stepped from the car. Naruto parked close enough so they only had a few steps before they made it to the door. Moving straight into their lovers' pose, they latched onto each other. Mr. Namikaze and Musasakawa, Sasori greeted, opening the door and motioning for them to come in. I was surprised to get your call. I figured all our clients had been scared off by the latest shooting. Oh, and that was all, Naruto said. All in all, it was a good leading question. You haven't heard. Sasori shook his head. It's been all over the news. There was another couple injured last night by this so-called wedding sniper. Unfortunately, they were former clients. Naruto nodded. Ino mumbled something about how horrible it was. She certainly didn't have to fake that part. Sasori went to the cooler tucked away in the corner and helped himself to not 1 but 2 cups of water. While he was there, he pressed some of the buttons on a wall pad, and music began to play. A heavy, sensual sax that didn't exactly mesh with the adrenaline surging through her. If you don't mind, I'd like to make this visit quick, Sasori continued. The security guard that I hired part-time couldn't come in today. He's sick, so I'd rather not stay around here too long. We won't keep you. We just wanted to invite you to the wedding. Naruto produced a mock invitation from his pocket. It's tomorrow. That's short notice, we know, but we'd love for you to be there to celebrate with us. And not just you, Ino added, making sure she sounded happy and not suspicious. We want Yakushi Kabuto and all the other nice people we've met here to come, as well. She snapped her fingers, including Hisagi Karen. Although I'm not sure if you know, but Naruto and she chatted. Sasori's smile faded, and he gripped the invitation with far more force than necessary. She was so friendly, Naruto added when Sasori didn't say anything. But I don't know how to get in touch with her. I thought maybe you'd give her number so we could call her. Sorry, I'm not allowed to give out that kind of information. Tell you what though, if I see Karen I'll tell her. And I'll make sure Kabuto gets the word, too. This might be just what we need to lighten the mood around here. He said as he streaked USD the invitation. You're not worried that this sniper would visit your wedding ceremony, too? Right, I mean, because of these other shootings. It was on the tip of Ino's tongue to lie, but the door behind them flew open. Only because she saw Naruto reach for his gun, she forced herself not to go for hers. Not immediately anyway. That way, if it was some legitimate visitor, it wouldn't totally blow their cover for both of them to draw. One gun, they could justify. Maybe, if it weren't for Naruto's superb cop reflexes. Instead, Ino kept her attention firmly on Sasori in case he planned to use this as some kind of diversion and try to K them. But the platinum blonde wasn't expecting Sasori's expression when he saw who it was. The one who stepped in was no other than Dr. Tomiyama Kenji. The physician, too, was kind of surprised. No widening of his eyes. But he did stop. He glanced at the gun. Naruto. And then her. And then at Sasori. What's going on here? He demanded. Is this some kind of robbery? Naruto didn't exactly relax, nor did he lower his gun. No robbery. And now, it was obviously time for damage control. We're a little shaken. Ino's voice quivered slightly, which although the unplanned contributed to the proof that the shaken part wasn't all facade. She caught Naruto's wrist and lowered his hand, and his weapon, to his side. It's the shootings. Tomiyama nodded. I heard. In fact, the cops came by to see me this morning. He fired a glare at Sasori. They asked for an alibi. Can you believe that? They wanted me to provide an alibi. I live alone for goodness' sake. Am I supposed to have friends sleep over just so I won't be accused of some crime? I think they're questioning everyone associated with Perfect Match. Ino provided. Naruto and I had to go in this morning, as well. Tomiyama glanced at her again, but this time it didn't stay at a glance. He combed his gaze over her from head to toe. Excuse me, do I know you? That was not what she wanted to hear right now. Yamanaka Ino wasn't so sure if her late pink-haired best friend had shown Tomiyama a picture of hers when they were still getting to know each other. Beside her, she also felt Naruto's arm stiffen. He was no doubt thinking the same thing she was. That Tomiyama might recognize her as Sakura's best friend. If so, they're in serious trouble. Forcing herself to remain calm, Ino pretended to study his face. Maybe we've met. I've been here a couple of times. In fact, my fiancé and I met right here at Perfect Match. For good measure she thrust out her hand so he could see the engagement ring. Very nice, he said without even looking at it. We're here to invite Sasori to the wedding. Naruto explained. And Hisagi Karen, of course. At first, she was surprised that Naruto included the woman's name, but she soon realized it was a smart thing to do. Tomiyama's mouth eased into a sarcastic smile. Trust me, you wouldn't want to invite Karen. She's not exactly wedding guest material. You know her? Naruto asked. But the answer didn't come from Tomiyama, but from Sasori after he had shared a glance with his doctor. We both know her. I'm afraid Karen sometimes has trouble distinguishing reality from fantasy. She's no longer a client here. That's the main reason I had security here the night of the icebreaker. Karen has a tendency to show up uninvited. She seemed nice enough when I spoke to her, Naruto insisted. And I told her I'd invite her to the wedding. I'd really like to get in touch with her. There was a long silence, and Ino didn't even try to fill it in with useless chit-chat. Something unspoken passed between Sasori and Tomiyama. "I'll get the number for you," Sasori announced. He turned and went down the hall, presumably to his office. Ino didn't take any chances. She positioned herself so that Naruto would be able to return fire if the man came back not with an address but with a gun. Tomiyama picked up a pen and a sheet of notepaper from the receptionist's desk. He wrote something down and then handed the paper to Naruto. "That's Karen's cell phone number. I doubt Sasori has it. And don't worry, I'm not violating any doctor-patient confidentiality since I've never seen Karen professionally. The truth is, we met here one evening and exchanged numbers. It didn't work out between us, but she continues to call dozens of times each day." Naruto stuffed the piece of paper into his pocket. "Thanks. I'm not doing you any favors," Tomiyama insisted. "The truth is I'm hoping that if the two of you offer Karen friendship, it'll be a more positive direction for her. And maybe she'll stop calling you." Naruto tossed back. A little flash of anger danced through the doctor's eyes before he smiled. "That, too." Sasori returned and handed Naruto a piece of paper as well, but when Ino glanced at the number, she realized it wasn't the same one Tomiyama had given them. Maybe one of them would pan out. "Now if you'll excuse us," Tomiyama said, taking Sasori's arm. "Hiroko and I have some things to discuss in private. Good luck with your wedding plans." Naruto and Ino started for the door, but he stopped as soon as the two men disappeared into the hall. "You think Tomiyama drives a black BMW?" Ino whispered through the music. "We'll know soon enough." He glanced at the corridor on the other side of the room, and she knew what he was thinking. On the pretense of going to the last room, she'd used that corridor to circle around the back of the building so she could get to Sasori's office. "I can pretend to go to the bathroom," Ino suggested. "I might be able to hear what they're discussing." Naruto obviously thought about it but then shook his head. "It's too risky. Not if you wander over toward that hall so you could keep an eye on Sasori's office. That way, you can alert me if they come out. And if they're suspicious, you can just say you're waiting for me to get out of the last room. In the meantime, you can call Karen and check on the vehicles registered to Dr. Tomiyama. It's still risky. And Sir is waiting for the sniper to strike again. I'm betting those two know something," she told her spiky blonde partner. "Yeah." He angled his eyes in her direction. "Just assure me that you can take care of yourself." Ino smiled. Not from joy, but from the weirdness of the moment. She'd succeeded in winning him over to her impromptu plan, but it didn't exactly leave her feeling victorious. "Don't worry, I'll be careful. And you do the same. I'll keep my communicator on in case you need me." Ino gave him one last look, one that she hoped calmed his concerns. But there was nothing calm about what she was feeling. She drew her weapon, shielding it against her leg and started down U-shaped network of hallways. Thankfully, there weren't any employees or clients lingering around. But had someone turned up the music? The sensual sound of sax no longer seemed to be sensual. It suddenly seemed loud. Overpowering, actually. Or maybe it was because the beat now matched the heartbeat drumming in her ears. "Everything okay?" Ino whispered into her communicator. "They haven't come out," Naruto let her know. She paused at the final section of the hall that was only about 10 yards from Sasori's office and took a quick look around the corner. She caught a glimpse of Naruto at the end of the hall before she ducked back. "Great," she mumbled under her breath. Even with the music, she should have heard shouting or even a normal conversation between Sasori and Tomiyama. Tomiyama had certainly done some shouting the last time he was here. It was Murphy's Law that he wouldn't cooperate in the volume department today. And that meant that she needed to get closer. It wasn't an actual sound that alerted her, but something did. Something that sent her spinning to the side. Everything that followed happened in a blur. Too fast for her to go on the offensive. The man came out from one of the rooms and rammed his body against hers, slamming her against the concrete wall. Her injured arm hit first, and the pain was immediate and searing that Ino thought she saw stars. Another body slam. He threw the full force of his weight right into her. The impact knocked the breath out of her. While she was fighting to pull air into her lungs, Ino got a good look at her attacker's face. Yakushi Kabuto. He clamped his hand around the front of her T. But not to try to choke her, she soon learned. He suddenly sped the communicator from beneath her collar. I knew there was something wrong about you, he snarled. Who the hell are you? Ino knew she had to act fast. Naruto was no doubt already on his way, and she didn't want him walking in on this, especially since he'd have to go past Sasori and Tomiyama first. This was not the time for a gun battle. Ignoring the pain in her arm and lungs, Ino brought up her leg, and using so much force as she could marshal, she kneed Kabuto in the groin. He howled in pain and immediately released the grip he had on her. And she didn't stop there. Ino grabbed his forearm and slung him forward so that he was the one against the wall. Face first. A quick pat down, and she discovered he wasn't armed. Ino. She heard Naruto call out. But that wasn't all she heard. She heard footsteps coming from the other direction, as well. They were all converging toward her. She kept her forearm pressed against Kabuto's back and snatched up her gun. That couple of moments must have given him his second wind because he tried to come at her again. He whirled around, his fist ready to bash her right in the face. Ino. Naruto yelled. She was vaguely aware of Naruto rounding the corner. But just vaguely. Thankfully, he didn't dive in and pull a knight in shining armor maneuver. He stayed back and let her do her job. Ino ducked. Kabuto's attempted jab breezed past her head and in the same motion, she delivered a snap kick to his stomach. She didn't give him a chance to get a second wind. Recoiling, she pivoted and landed another kicking blow to the back of his legs. Kabuto went down to the floor, hard and gasping for breath. It took everything inside her not to slam him right back against the wall and read him his rights because that wasn't a smart thing to do. There was still a chance that Naruto and she could keep their cover intact. If not, then they were in trouble because they were in the same building with 3 of their 4 meters suspects. Doing some light gasping of her own, Ino glanced around to get her bearings. Naruto was on one side, his weapon drawn. Standing on the other side were Dr. Tomiyama and Sasori, in stunned silence. Are you okay? Naruto asked. The muscles in his jaw had turned to iron. He looked ready to Kabuto from limb to limb. Ino nodded. He tried to assault me. He wasn't successful. And after delivering that news to Naruto, she made certain she added a stern look that hopefully would convince him to stay in cover. Guess all that self-defense training finally came in handy. She's got a gun. Kabuto managed to say. He struggled to get to his feet, staggered, and dropped back to his knees. Ino angled her body so she could deliver another snap kick if necessary. Good thing too, huh? A woman never knows when she'll need a gun. Sasori came closer. What's going on here? Maybe the adrenaline was clouding her senses, but Ino couldn't tell if he was concerned for her, or for Kabuto. I think she's the sniper. Kabuto snarled. Oh, great. It was either fast thinking on his part to save his butt, or else he genuinely believed that. If it was the latter, it would explain why he'd come after her in the first place. But Ino wasn't about to stake her life on anything that Kabuto said. Even if he wasn't the sniper, the man was slime. She's wearing some kind of wire. Kabuto leaned into the wall so he could stand. Not easily, however. Ino made a point of showing both Sasori and Tomiyama her communicator when she picked it up from the floor. It's not a wire. It's a walkie-talkie. A way for me and Naruto to stay connected when we can't be together. Call me overly devoted, but I like being able to talk with the man I love 24 out of 7. Naruto gave a confirming nod, and turned back his collar so they could see his communicator, as well. There were several tense seconds. Several uncomfortable glances between Sasori and Tomiyama before the former finally moved and took Kabuto's arm. Let's discuss this in my office. Wait, Kabuto said, holding his ground. He fired a nasty glare at her. She's not the sniper, then what the hell was she doing sneaking around back here? I was looking for the bathroom, Ino quickly provided. No glare for her. She made sure she looked upset, which wasn't that difficult considering what had just gone down. Her heart was still racing from the fight. More tense moments, Naruto walked closer to stand right by her side. Maybe for comfort. Or maybe he just wanted to be in a better position to fire if it came down to that. I'm sorry this happened, Ms. Asakawa, Sasori finally said. I hope you'll accept my apology. And he didn't just say it either. He appeared to be sorry. Of course, that sincerity could have been for all the wrong reasons. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to talk with Kabuto in private. I trust the two of you can see yourselves out. Yes, they could do that, but it meant turning their backs on at least one potential cur. Still, leaving was about the only way to maintain their cover. Naruto obviously felt the same. He didn't reholster his gun, nor did he take her arm, a move that would have hampered her ability to return fire. However, he did gesture with his head for them to get moving. Ino complied, but she glanced over her shoulder. And neither of them stopped glancing until they were out of the building and in the car. Naruto started the engine and drove away. He made it a full block before he slid his arm around her and pulled her to him. The muscles in his body were still rock hard, and that jaw told her that he was from winning the battle with adrenaline. Thanks a lot for not jumping in fists first back there when you saw me with Kabuto. It seemed as if several times he changed his mind about what to say. You didn't appear to need me to jump in. Oh, that cost him. The words were right. So was the sentiment. However, he'd not said it easily. I didn't, but Shikamaru and Chuji forget that sometimes. I can see why. That was all he said for the next couple of seconds. Just don't expect me to forget it again if Kabuto comes near you. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.